Hi friends, it's Annie Grace and I am answering readers' questions, and today I have a question from Emma. Emma says, "Hi Annie, I wanted to give you an update on my progress. I'm doing extremely well. I haven't had a drink in 31 days and feel fantastic." That is excellent, Emma. Now the thing is, I've had some quote friends question me about not drinking, saying, "Wow, I'm not saying you're an alcoholic, but you must have been drinking quite a lot to have quit." And other comments like this that were just somewhat insulting and really pissed me off. I've had different feelings about this, but I was wondering if you experience anything like this and what exactly you can do about it. I think that, first of all, congratulations. That's great. 31 days and feeling great. I mean, that's the important thing, right? It's about feeling really good and relieved and empowered and certain of your decision, which is excellent. So well done on that. That's amazing. And I think, yes, I can relate to all of those comments. I had somebody, on both sides, I had somebody tell me, like, "Why would you have quit drinking? I've never, ever even seen you drunk." And, kind of this almost undermining thing of like, you don't have to be visibly drunk all the time to not be happy with how much you're drinking and not feel like it's healthy for you and not feel good about it. I had other people who were just like, there must have been something I didn't know about, like, wow, you must have really been suffering. And again, like, maybe not, but the truth is that those comments, interestingly, and the further I got away from it and the longer it was, they always came from people who were struggling most internally themselves and mostly unconsciously. It's not like people realize that they're struggling. I certainly didn't realize that I had all this cognitive dissonance around my drinking. I didn't realize that I had, kind of this internal battle about both wanting to be healthier and happier, but then also craving and wanting a drink all the time. So a lot of that just comes up. And so when someone around them stops drinking, it kind of comes out that way. And somehow your decision can tip the scales for them and put it more in their own mind to question their own drinking. I remember the first time I had a friend 7 years ago who stopped drinking, and we had drank together. And I remember it really put me into a little bit of a turmoil, like, okay, well, I need to justify why she's different than me. I need to understand why she's different than me. And so the first thing, out of my mouth wasn't necessarily, "Oh, congratulations, good job, well done, I'm so supportive." It was like, well, wait, what about me? I mean, we drink together. Does this mean I have a problem? Like, what about me? And it was a good friend, so I felt comfortable saying those things. But this is just kind of their way to say, what about me? I mean, it's really wearing their concerns on their sleeves to some extent. And so I thought that was really interesting. And it took me a while to realize that some of that, the people who were the most aggressive in demanding my reasons, the least supportive, the most rude, saying things that they'd never say if I would have, declared that I had quit eating sugar or decided to cut back on carbs, or I'd become a vegan, for instance. People would not have questioned my motives in the same way, or just jumped to these conclusions about some huge traumatic experience with alcohol that I had been hiding from them, which wasn't the case for me. But it was those people who, over time, they started, once the initial shock wore off, the next few conversations I had with those people were them telling me exactly why they were in control of their drinking. And so it was funny because alcohol became the topic that we talked about whenever I saw those certain group of people. And so it would go like this. I'd walk up and they'd be like, "Oh, you're still not drinking?" No, I still feel great not drinking. We don't want to be drinking. They'd say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I just have one or two, and, I really can take it or leave it. And, I definitely, I think about my drinking too, but I've realized that, I just don't have a problem." And just justifying their drinking in such a way that all of a sudden it clicked for me. And I was like, this isn't about me. This has nothing to do with me. This is about what's going on in their mind for them. And all of a sudden I'm just being a little bit of a mirror where a mirror didn't exist for them before. And so that was really eye-opening. So I think the main thing, Emma, is it's not about you. It really isn't. And I know it can be hurtful and I know it can be hard. But what you can do is just maintain and do what's true for yourself, and it will go away. I think that the people in your life who truly don't struggle with alcohol, who truly can take it or leave it, these are the people who are more often saying no to a drink than yes to a drink. These people, it's like you got a new haircut or something. It's amazing. Like there's no emotional response. I mean, they're excited for you. Oh, your hair looks great. Oh, that's so cool. Well done. Like good lifestyle choice. I'm sure you feel better. But beyond that, the conversation immediately reverts back to whatever you were talking about before, and your friendship immediately reverts back, and there isn't any lingering alcohol-centric conversation. But the people who are struggling, you can expect that they will want to talk about this, they will want to justify themselves to you, and that's just what's going to happen for a little while. And I think the best thing you can do is just be incredibly graceful and just happy in your own decision, because that, more than anything you ever will say, will be the most influential and positive thing in their lives. And then I will say one last thing is that it totally does get better. Over time, people just kind of go back to normal. And the great news is new people who you meet, it just becomes who you are. Oh, you're that person that doesn't drink. That's cool. And it doesn't even really get brought up that much. So it definitely gets better. And again, in my experience, it's the people who are most stuck with their own decisions, even if they're not consciously aware of it, even if it's really buried for them under layers and layers of justification. It's that they have that little niggle of not feeling entirely comfortable with their own drinking, and that's why it comes out in conversation with you, because your decision is just acting as a mirror. So I think most importantly, it's not about you. Really well done, and just be as graceful and as positive as you possibly can be. And I think I'll say one last thing. There will be people who may never get comfortable around you. It's now almost 3 years later for me, and there is probably one or two people I can think of where they just don't want to socialize because they'll feel awkward about their own drinking, or, it just never quite got back to where it was. And if I reflect on those friendships, a lot of them, what we had in common was we drank a lot together. So, it's hard to let things go, but there will be times when it doesn't always just pass. And you just need to be aware of that as well, because it is something that does happen. So anyway, thanks so much, Emma, for the question. And again, this is Annie Grace, author of This Naked Mind. Have a great day.